Hello everybody, it's Cranestorm here, and we are going to do another tier list video today. And I'm super excited about this one because today we're going to be doing the main Pokemon games, the main series games. Look at them all there. How good are they? We're going to find out today. So we'll just start straight away with Red and Blue, the OGs. And these games are completely terrible. Don't give me anything else. Do not say anything else to me. They're terrible. They are full of glitches, as I'm sure you all know. They are not great. However, I will say this. They laid the groundwork for this entire series. And what a series it is. That is why we're all here today. And so I couldn't possibly live with myself putting them in the lowest tier. These were my first Pokemon games. Well, technically Yellow was my first Pokemon game, actually. But there's very few differences besides Pokemon from Pokemon. They are solid games to play. They're not great as Pokemon games, but they did what they had to do to cement this pop culture phenomenon in all of our hearts. And in the same vein, I mean, Yellow is very glitchy. I don't actually like Yellow as much as Red and Blue, because I just prefer the fact that you start off with your starter. It's the original formula in this game, I think, in these games that really makes them feel better for me. This, obviously, they did the whole, like, oh, you get a Pikachu, like in the anime. They tried to bring the anime viewers over the Pokemon games, which is nice. It's a good idea. I mean, I think it probably worked. But yeah, I prefer just starting off with one of the original three and not having to worry about a Pikachu that doesn't evolve. Onto Gen 2, and Gold and Silver are going to be going into A tier. These games improved so much on just everything about Gen 1. I think they are a lot cleaner. They're a lot less buggy to play, and that is obviously really good. We got like the legend storylines. There's more of the formula being introduced to us that we recognize today, you know, you get in Pokemon games. And I think they did such a good job. The feel of Johto is just, it has way more character than Kanto, I think. But even if you don't prefer Johto, you know what, you get Kanto in these games as well, which I can't believe they managed to get Kanto in these games. And then in Crystal, they added even more extra content, which is just insane. It's absolutely insane. So, all Gen 2 games are going in A tier. I am a Gen 2 simp. Shout at me in the comments if you want, but that's who I am. On to Generation 3, Ruby and Sapphire. I'm going to put in B tier. Now, don't shout at me all at once. Don't shout at me all at once. I think that Ruby and Sapphire are amazing games. However, they have too much water. No, I'm only joking, they don't. I just think that, obviously, the jump from Gen 2 to 3 is way bigger than it was from 1 to 2. I understand that. However, I just think that Gen 3, whilst really good, brought along a lot of new stuff. Some of which worked, some of which did not. And for me, the leap between Gen 1 and Gen 2, it kind of felt nice and cozy, kind of felt very familiar. Gen 3 was a lot more different, and when I played it originally, I enjoyed the hell out of it, don't get me wrong. But it just didn't quite gel with me as much as Gen 2 did. And so that's why I'm putting it in B. They are amazing games, and they set out a lot more groundwork, probably, than Gen 2 did, for what was to come with the series. So props for that. Props for that, Ruby and Sapphire. Fire Red and Leaf Green, I'm also going to put in B. I think they are solid remakes. They are really fun. And yeah, they added the Sevi Islands as well. They expanded so well on what Red and Blue gave us, and that's why I'm putting them a tier above the originals. Emerald, A tier. Gave us everything Ruby Sapphire did, but the storyline was better. There was more content. And yeah, the only thing that I don't like about Emerald versus Ruby and Sapphire is that Steven is no longer the champion. You still get to fight him, so I suppose that's fine. But yeah, you know, personal preference. Prefer Steven. I think most people would agree with me there. Diamond and Pearl going into F tier. I'm sorry, Gen 4. I love Gen 4. It's probably my favorite generation. Spoilers on what is to come. But I can't. I'm sorry. Diamond and Pearl are. They're not buggy like Gen 1, and some of Gen 2, but they're so slow. I can't like even begin to describe how unpleasant the experience of playing these games is nowadays. Just on like a regular cartridge, they're so slow, and I will never play these games again. I will either play Platinum or I will play BDSP. And speaking of Platinum, I'm going to put Platinum in the GOAT tier, because that's where it belongs. It basically does everything that you want in a Pokemon game, and up to this point I think it was the ultimate Pokemon game. It had extra content just like in Emerald. It had obviously the new legendary just like in Emerald, but it also improved so much over Diamond and Pearl. I can't even fathom how they did such a good job of making Platinum so much better than what up until then were probably the two worst Pokemon games in terms of performance and just general ease of play. And that's saying something, because Gen 1 exists, everyone. Gen 1 exists. And then they made Gen 2 remakes in the form of Heart Gold and Soul Silver. And again, these games are so goddamn amazing. They are. I'm sorry. They are so goddamn amazing. I know I'm doing it. I'm putting Heart Gold and Soul Silver in the best Pokemon games ever. Yeah, okay, fine, whatever. You can say that I'm a basic bitch, but that does not get rid of the fact that these games are just some of the best games I've ever played in my life. You can have Pokemon following you around. When was the last time Game Freak did that well? It was Heart Gold and Soul Silver, everyone. I'm sorry, it was. I mean, Let's Go, I can make an argument for Let's Go, but you only get the first 150 Pokemon and like a couple of extras in that game. So Heart Gold and Soul Silver did it so much better. And that is the end of my argument for that. Black and White. I'm going to put Black and White in B tier, and I will tell you why. They are good games. They are really good games. The jump from just static sprites to animated was great. It gave the game so much more life. The soundtrack for this game, and in fact I haven't talked about the soundtracks for any of these games, which are all fantastic, but the soundtrack for this game, it hits differently, and it was so much more dynamic than we've had before. I mean, you walk and you get the drums. I'm sure you all know about that. If not, watch some just like Pokemon facts videos and they'll explain. They're great. They feel so good to play, even now. But Black and White 2 improved upon them. Now, I haven't actually finished Black and White 2. I would like to, but I have played them a little bit. And they, again, like what came before with Platinum, with Emerald, they improve upon Black and White. And you do get more options for Pokemon as well. It's not just Gen 5 Pokemon until post-game. You get to play with loads of different Pokemon. And that is really, really a nice touch to add to these games, I think. You get a lot of the same characters, but you also get new characters. And there is a good time to be had with these games. So I'm going to put them in A tier for now. Now, X and Y are often heralded as where Pokemon started dropping off. Obviously, 3D models started coming in. The whole look of the games changed with X and Y. But I'm sorry, X and Y are decent games. They are. They really, really are. I really like X and Y. I think the feel of them is so nice. The French theme of Kalos, yeah, I think it just suits Pokemon so well, and I'm so gutted that we didn't get a third version for these games, because I think Pokemon Z would have been so brilliant. But hey ho, never mind. Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. Now, they're remakes, and they added a lot to what we had with Ruby and Sapphire. Obviously, they had the Mega Evos, and they were fine. You know, they were fine. However, this is where, like, a lot of the things they brought in Gen 6, which I'm not fond of, this is where I started to see it more. And although I enjoy playing the games, I'm probably never going to play them again. If I'm going to play a Hoenn game, I'm probably going to play Ruby and Sapphire. And so that's the reason I can't put them above Ruby and Sapphire. But I think that Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, yeah, they were good. They were good. They were fun. Were they the last great remakes? No. But they were good. Sun and Moon, D tier. I mean, yeah, I kind of, and you know what, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon can go in D tier as well. I mean, I will say, I have not played these games nearly as much as all of the rest of these games, because Gen 7 was kind of when I was going through my, like, edgy teenager, you know, like, I don't want to play Pokemon. I'm an adult. I want to watch Game of Thrones. You know, I was in that stage when these were coming out, and so I didn't really play them as much. I did play them. I have played Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon a lot more recently, and it's very hand-holdy. There's a lot of cutscenes. Alola is a good region, but it's just not really for me. These games never gelled with me, and I know that they have their fans, and, you know, a lot of the Pokemon in there, which I didn't originally like, have grown on me quite a lot. In fact, some of my favorite Pokemon now are Gen 7 Pokemon. Vikavolt, for example. I love Vikavolt. But I can't put them any higher. Personally, for me, I can't put them any higher. Let's go Pikachu and Eevee. I'm going to put in D tier as well. I think the games are probably the best looking Switch games we've had in terms of just how polished the game looks. But I hated the catching, the go catching mechanic. I didn't like it very much. It didn't make me want to replay these games ever, really. And they satisfied my hunger temporarily for new Pokemon games. And actually, to be fair, they kind of got me back into Pokemon after the Gen 7 hiatus that I found myself on. And they were also the reason that I got my Switch. But in D tier, they stay. Now, Sword and Shield, I'm going to put into B tier, and here is why. They are enjoyable. They're enjoyable games. However, I had more fun in the DLC for these games, probably 4 or 5 times over, than I had in the actual main game. And so that is why they're not going any higher. And I don't really care about graphics that much, or like performance. It's not like a deal breaker for me. Obviously, I want the games to run well. I want them to look good. That's not like the forefront of what I want from a Pokemon game. What I want is to enjoy the Pokemon, enjoy the game, enjoy the story. The story is meh. It's fine. But some of the stuff like the raids that they added were really, really enjoyable. Dynamax, I liked the gimmick. I didn't love it. I liked it. But the 2 DLCs, I had so much fun in the DLCs. And despite this fact, it's going in B tier, because I feel like that kind of holds the game back, is that you've got an additional paywall to play the full game, which sucks. And I like a DLC, don't get me wrong, but the fact that I had so much more fun in the DLC than the main game brings it definitely down a peg. BDSP, I don't know whether to put in B tier or C tier. I don't hate these games as much as everyone else does. I really don't. I mean, I think that they were solid. I don't know if I can put them in B tier, but I think I'm going to put them in C tier. C tier is kind of like, these Pokemon games are enjoyable. I like playing them. Anything below that is kind of like, nah, I don't really want to play that ever again. And so, yeah, I will play these games again, probably, because I enjoy them. They are better than Diamond and Pearl. They run better. They look better. Well, maybe not look better, but graphically, they are more impressive, I think you could probably say. I do prefer sprites over 3D models. But like the water, for example, in BDSP, I think looks so pretty. And I really like the music in these 2 games. So they really did a good job with updating the music. Platinum is definitely the superior Sinnoh game, but BDSP, I think, get a really hard time. They were a buggy mess when they released. I think that probably has a lot to do with it. But they did add stuff as well to the games. Like, you forget, like, obviously the Grand Underground, they added that. And I can spend hours in the Grand Underground just digging, and just like hunting for rare spawn Pokemon. I really enjoy that. So they are going in there. The Legends Arceus is so goddamn good. They really went for something so different to what we'd had before. I remember I was sat, when they announced this, the Pokemon Presents was on, I was sat in the labor ward with my wife, and she was like, oh, I'm in pain, and I was like, oh, Pokemon! And yeah, I was so engrossed in the Pokemon Presents, and I was completely ignoring my very heavily pregnant wife. And that's how excited I was for it. I was super hyped, and when it came out, I played the hell out of it, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had playing a new game before in my life. It was so good. The feel of Legends Arceus is just, it just hits exactly where you want to. It's that sweet spot, and I'm so glad it was good, and I'm so glad we're getting ZA in the very near future, hopefully. Scarlet and Violet. Now here we get to probably one of the most controversial picks on this list for me. Scarlet and Violet is going into A tier, and I'm putting Scarlet and Violet in A tier because I honestly have so much fun playing these games that it makes me ignore all of the flaws with the, well, especially the performance, but with the graphics as well, because I prefer the graphics in Legends Arceus. I think the graphics in Legends Arceus are so much better. But Scarlet and Violet are really fun. They really are fun. And the DLC is also really fun. The reason that I don't mark it down for having DLC like I did Sword and Shield is because I enjoyed the main game and the story in the main game so much more than Sword and Shield. So much more. It is not even comparable. So yeah, so there we go. Let's just move these around very quickly. I'm going to put Let's Go over to there. Like that. We'll leave the rest of that tier as it is. We're going to put that there like that. We're going to put that right at the top. We're going to put that... yeah, we'll leave it there like that. Oh, this is where it's going to get hard now. I think Emerald probably has to go to the top here. Scarlet and Violet, I'm actually going to put in second place here, in front of Gen 2. Very controversial, I know. I think Crystal can go there. Yeah, Crystal... I mean, Crystal... I think I have to put Crystal next to Gold and Silver, actually, because there's not really much splitting the games. But I think maybe Black and White 2 can go in front of Gen 2 there. That looks good, and we're going to go boom like this, and we're going to go boom like this, and that is the official Crainstorm Pokemon main series video game tier list. Thanks for watching, everyone. Leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Catch you later.